Hi, my name is Pagan and I am the creator of Effect's Frat-Boy Behaviour hands-on female Australian streamers. It's subjective to the kind of person you are and the brand you have. If you are a streamer or a creator, there is a level of personal branding that becomes a factor, and if your brand is clapbacks, then maybe it is in your best interest to continue that if that is what you are comfortable doing.
No, I don't have the zingers ready to go. I would rather show them to my like if say this happens in a live stream, for instance, I'd rather highlight that and be like, hey guys, this is what you don't do. I'm gonna give you the chance to apologize or get out. You don't really get the second chance on that one. I would rather cultivate a positive experience for the people who do support me than spend my time trying to educate someone who has clearly come in with bad intentions. They've not come in here with good faith, and I would rather put my energy into the people that I know care and are here to support my work and my content and want to uplift the community. But again, I really haven't been in a position where I have had something so egregious come up that it's been a back and forth. Like it's a one-off comment. It's maybe a couple comments and then a very quick ban. Like I really don't hold that much in the way of like sympathy for people who come in with bad faith takes and bad faith comments to make, like, because you're not adding anything. Streaming is not my job. It's a thing I do for fun. I don't have to entertain this. And my community doesn't have to see that. So
Because me personally, sometimes I'm not quick enough to troll back successfully. Like I would just look kind of like flustered. There are people that are so good at trolling back that it's beautiful and I stand that like 110%. But me personally, I'm not so good at it. So I go for more of the either just a instant block, and depending on what they've said, sometimes me and my community sort of like laugh about it, like I can't believe that person is this way. Like, I can't believe they thought they were gonna get away with this, because like my community is such a strong force that I can't believe they actually thought they could come in and do something. Like they actually thought they could do something. It's so funny. Um or if it's something like more serious, like homophobic comments, that's when I will go into a more serious educational standpoint. But my emotions tend to get the better of me, and my anger flusters me, but you can tell that I'm passionate about it.
Depending on streamer size, creator size, and volume of comments online, it's not worth people's time, and it's not worth the emotional energy it would take to put yourself in a position to grandstand and be like, hey, here are all the reasons why this is bad, or why did you make this comment, or to investigate. It's often not worth the emotional bandwidth it takes.
If it should be educated on, like um I was playing a specific game on stream. I think I was playing Wildflowers, and obviously there are both sex relationships, which I love, and I was crushing on one of the female characters, and I had a new chatter who'd been chatting for like maybe an hour so far say, "Oh no, you need to marry a man." And oh, I lost it. I did block them, but I also know that they can still see my stream anyway, and that's when I went into an educational tirade of absolutely not. This is 2022. Love is love. How no, this is not tolerated. Like it's not tolerated. I can marry anyone I want. I am bisexual to begin with. Haven't you not seen the tag in the bottom of my stream? So why would you come in here and say that?
Depends on the context of the trolling. Sometimes they give you the best stuff that you can just like clap back and make it into a bit, but sometimes it's just like you can't really do anything with it. It's annoying regardless of the outcome, but like sometimes you can make it into content. And sometimes it's like a fun. It's like at a comedy stand-up comedy show when someone's trying to speak and the crowd is heckling. Sometimes it makes for great moments of banter, but at the end of the day, it is interrupting, the show.
take the approach of, I'll ignore you for as long as I can, really. If you're going to be persistent, you're gone. Like really the best way I feel to deal with that kind of thing. But that also then factors in that they don't come back. And for me, thankfully, hasn't really been that big of an issue. But I know for other people, that doesn't work because they just keep coming back. So it's a delicate balance depending on your situation.
Like, you either just ignore it and delete the comments. Within like the past 2 months, I've just really entered, I'm jokingly calling it my villain era. It's not, it's just me making sassy remarks at anyone who says anything that mildly rubs me the wrong way. They'll say something and I'll be like, is that so? Are you sure? Like, do you want to say that again? Like, just like really like, it's not the reaction that they want. Like, I'm giving them a reaction, but it's not the one they want at the end of the day. So like, that's, I think, funnier to troll them back than it is to get upset about it. And like, yeah, I don't know, it's hard. Mostly it's just delete or ignore. Or if I'm really feeling spicy, it's just like a little quip back, and then if they keep going, you know, maybe I'll keep replying an angry tweet about it on Twitter because my feelings are actually hurt. But
there are extents where, depending on what it is and what platform it's happening on, yes, it should be put out there. Many people utilize platforms like Twitter to expose trolls and to voice their opinions. Or messages should be sent to friends and family, especially if they are very threatening and young. For example, Alana Pierce, a video game writer, a while ago received rape threats from a bunch of young boys. And the problem with the situation is that they don't know any better. So responding to them rationally wasn't the solution. And it got to the point where these comments started to make her feel uncomfortable. So she was best off contacting the boys' mothers directly, especially as most of them wrote to her personally through Facebook. And it is quite shockingly how easy it is to find who these people are connected to. And the reason why she messaged the kids' mothers was to find a way to reach a resolution, to productively teach the young boys that it's not okay to be sexist to women, you know, even if they are on the internet and think they are acting under anonymity. These are real people and there should be actual consequences for that. But sometimes there is a case where things should go straight to the police, but then there are also some things that are so minor, so it's just better to ignore them. The intent comes across in the trolling, whether it's to get a minor reaction or to actually scare someone.
I personally would rather put my energy into cultivating a safe community by highlighting this comment, being like, don't do this. This person, don't be like that. Goodbye. I don't particularly feel, in my experience so far, that I've had to really go above and beyond to put my neck out to educate someone on why they're being awful. I'd rather be like, you know what you're doing. You don't need me to tell you what you're doing. You know. I don't need you here.
I could get a general message just being like, oh, you suck, you're not pretty. Like, I don't feel like that's worth bringing to attention because how dare you?
You know, if you are looking at a creator who is big on audience size, they could be getting a major amount of horrible things thrown at them, and it can be draining to then catalog and call out every single one, and that takes up so much of your personal time, and no one wants to deal with that. But what about calling your mates out?
If you see someone, like you're mates with someone and you know that they're acting this way, or you hear them in the lobby and you don't call it out or you don't like address it because you don't want to be awkward, totally get that. But you then can't be like, oh, that's not me. I'd never, because you're letting it happen. And yeah, it's not on you to police your friends, sure, but would you want to be friends with someone who's actively being so awful to another human being?
There's only rare occurrences where I might actually voice my opinion strongly. The most recent would be the how do you pronounce her name? Amaranth?
Yeah.
Amaranth situation, where I was immediately disgusted, passionate, needed to get my emotions out there kind of thing. Which is a very good example of men against women.
Yes.
So it's been I try not to get caught up in Twitter drama or to put a lot of overly serious things on Twitter.
One-off encounter, sure. If you feel like it is, I will never, ever, ever shame someone for not coming forward with these types of things, because sometimes the abuse you get from speaking up is infinitely worse than the thing you were speaking up about. Like, and you have to then be open to that potential of getting hit with another wave because you've called it out. So I'll never shame anyone for not doing that.
There seems to be a strange dodging of why it's appropriate for people to be saying some of the things that they say, and being held accountable for that is such a crime. There is no selection of people when coming forward with an online abuse, especially as a woman. It was either what did you expect, or if you don't fit a certain physical standard, then oh, that's not real, you are not pretty enough for that to happen.
Like, that has been said to me before, where I was talking about, you know, online abuse in video games to a mate of mine who is no longer a mate. And he said, I don't really get that. Like, you're not pretty enough, essentially, to get that kind of flack. And I'm like, what does that have to do with anything, my guy?
However, keeping people accountable and speaking up tends to be a stab in the dark for some creators, because you can never tell who is following and whose community is most loyal. You would have to band together a huge amount of people to stop harassment from happening, bringing awareness to get that person out, which is what is happening to Rooster Teeth at this moment in time, and what happened to Activision Blizzard in 2020. It took so many instances for something to finally happen, because if one person comes out, it is so easy to silence, and it is so easy for the following to drive them off the platform or the industry.
I won't do it like publicly on my platform, because the second you say something on your platform, they're like, why are you doing social justice? I follow you for cosplay, not for your opinion. And it's like, well, okay, I'll get stuffed then. Yeah, it's not something that I'll do like publicly using my platform, because there's no point. It's just going to start so many more arguments, and it's going to hurt people more than it should. And I think doing it publicly, for me, it's going to, you know, I think it doesn't validate them, but in their own minds, it validates their opinion. If I speak out and they get angry at me and they get a reaction from me, that's their validation. That's what they were after in that moment. For me, that's not the way to go about it. I use close friends stories and that sort of stuff to post about my experiences. And anytime that I feel like I'm good enough acquaintances with someone, I will, if they ask me questions, I'll let them know anything and everything that I think about certain people, like all this sort of stuff. And I sort of do that kind of education, like on a sort of grassroots level. It's like, it's word of mouth. It's, you know, like those sort of, I don't know, more human connections.
Yeah, I personally didn't engage. I was a little bit too shook, but my community is very tight. And when I made known that this was happening, obviously close friends stories on Instagram is a thing. My community sort of rushed in to, I guess, attack for me, defend for me, which it always means a lot more to whoever I think is making those comments, rather than the person being attacked. Like, if it was me, that's when I think they would gain satisfaction in having hit at their target. Whereas when it's a rush of other people coming to defend you, they ended up deleting their comments.
So when it comes to talking about harassment online, we find it is better to confine in people that we know in real life, because the second you do it online, it is very disconnected from people and there is no empathy on the internet.
And there you have it. There's the beginning of the effects that Frat-Boy behaviour has on women in the gaming industry. That's the topic I'm going to explore in my research project, and whether you would like to subscribe or not, you can base it on that.